Welcome to Ramblings and Randomness with Roth and Romelio. I'm Romelio.
I'm Roth.
And on today's episode, we will be doing our social media Q&A. Last week, we asked you all to comment on our videos and on our Facebook page. Questions you have about comics, pop culture, anything within that venue that you've always wondered or had questions about. And we would answer them to the best of our abilities. If we didn't know anything about it, it's because we don't watch trash. Ha ha ha. And we'll do our best even still to answer your questions. A lot of feedback. We had several questions. So let's just jump right into it.
First one is thoughts on the new Batman. We're pretty sure you're meaning the new casting, but I think the question might have actually been on the page before they confirmed him.
Right.
As the actual confirmation, even though it was rumored for a while.
But the rumor was verified that it was down between Robert Pattinson, most famous for
Twilight, and Harry Potter.
And Harry Potter is Cedric Diggory.
Yep.
And Nicholas Hoult, best known for Beast and the newer X-Men trilogy, and also
you wouldn't know that.
What else has he been in? Warm Bodies.
Isn't he Tolkien in the new Tolkien movie?
Yes, and Tolkien in the new Tolkien movie. Both choices caused a lot of feedback, but Warner Brothers decided to go with Robert Pattinson, and he will be our new Batman. I believe they start filming this summer or later this fall. But I guess you're asking for our thoughts on that. I'm going to lead with this, and I know for a fact that Buddha and Roth will back me up on this. I groaned, I moaned, I rolled my eyes so hard they almost got stuck when I heard Heath Ledger will play the Joker. And then I was forced to eat my foot.
Same.
That was in my mouth.
When those movies came out, when Batman Begins came out, I didn't even go to see it in theater.
Wow, I didn't either.
I was just like, oh, I'm like, the last couple of Batmans, they were cheesy, they were corny. I don't need to see a new Batman movie. I had already become more Marvel at that point anyway. I can't remember who, but I do remember finally sitting down in college and watching Batman Begins and was just like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then it was long before they made the announcement of Ledger, because I was getting into the whole, all right, and then they announced the new one, and I should have trusted them because I love Batman Begins so much, but yeah, you heard about Heath Ledger and you're just like, why is he joking? Everyone I know was behind Paul Bettany. Mm-hmm. That was the big name that was in contention, who is now the Vision, but they were both in A Knight's Tale together. Mm-hmm. But Paul Bettany was the one everyone I remember pushing for when they were doing all the rumoring about. And then Heath Ledger got cast, and when he got cast, everyone was like, huh. Then I was having this discussion with someone the other day. Then the teaser came out. Not the trailer and not the teasers like they do now that show images. The teaser was basically zooming in on the bat. It was the bat signal or logo from those movies, and then there was burning something because it ended on a pile of burning cards with the Joker cards on it, and all you had was a little bit of voiceover work, and so you had a little bit of the Joker's voice and his laugh at the end, and you heard that, and you were like, that sounds pretty good. You saw the first couple shots from the movie, because they did, the first couple shots was like the interrogation scene where a lot of the makeup's wearing off and the scars are showing more, and when the first couple shots did not look great.
They did not.
It was one of those where you're just like,
oh, my first thought was right. He's going to be terrible.
Yeah. Then they put out the first trailer where you saw him and you're like...
And then you saw the movie.
The movie, first off, you heard, like, everyone was behind it, and everyone was full on at that point. Ledger's going to be amazing Joker. And then, what, 2 or 3 months before the movie, maybe a bit longer, can't remember for sure, Joker dies. Heath Ledger passed. And everyone was like, no! And then the movie came out, and his character in the movie got 2 intros, and both of them were amazing. He got the intro in the bank scene, where you barely see him, and you just have the reveal when he brings the mask up, and then you got the intro when he meets the mafia boss, and you want to see a magic trick.
So, with that being said, I'm not going to pass any judgments on Robert Pattinson. First off, the dude can act. So, that's off the table. It's not like he can't act the part. Second, he has the look. He's a handsome, early 30s, white dude with
good jawline.
Because
gotta wear that mask. Everyone's complaining about Twilight. Oh, the guy who played Twilight. Twilight was a decade ago.
Longer than that, wasn't it? Twilight came out in 2005.
Well, I don't remember when the last one came out.
Oh, okay.
I guess
a decade.
But the last one of the series, it's like a decade ago.
And can we be honest? Look,
a lot of the people from it have moved on to better roles. Some have not, clearly. But he has kept down low. He's been doing a lot more artsy pictures, been doing a lot more acting. Whether or not, I've not gotten around to seeing most of them. A couple of them look good, but I don't watch a lot of movies anymore. That's my issue.
Twilight was not meant for us as nerdy comic guys. It wasn't meant for us. It was meant for girls, women, people who are into that kind of thing. So everyone passing judgment on it, you come off like every jock and person who passed judgment on us nerds when we were excited for a movie or a TV show to come out. You come off the same way. So cut it out. Give the guy a shot. If he tanks it, guess what? We will let Marvel, WB know we're not happy. But until then, reserve your frustration and your anger over nothing. And
stop attacking actors unless it's specifically bad acting. Like, right. There's not... I'm trying to think of some of the just specific bad acting. Like, one of the biggest ones, obviously, Tommy Wiseau, The Room. That's supposed to be so terrible bad. But there are a couple spots that are like... What's some actual just big, really bad acting?
Most of the time it's not bad acting as much as it is poorly written.
Yeah, like... most of, especially, comic movies have gotten better for emotional weight a lot over the last decade, but some of those don't have to have as much emotion as like the dramas, and that's where you usually can pick out bad movies a lot, is if someone's not going through the emotions the correct way. But so many times people are giving crap about an actor in a role when the actor was fine in the part. The movie wasn't good because of writing, because of directing, whatever, but the actor was fine. Like Kelly Marie Tran in Star Wars, Last Jedi. We had this debate. Some people say, I think it's a bad movie. Some people love it. But, like, all the hate she's getting for being in the movie and her part, she was good in the part she was given. Do I think it was a great part? No, but she was good. Mm-hmm. One of the big ones we've had, the last big Batman we had, Ben Affleck. Everyone hates Ben Affleck as soon as he was cast. Everyone's like, oh God, Ben Affleck's Batman. He was good as Batman. The Batman vs. Superman and Justice League movies are garbage, but Batman was good. The version of Batman he played, which was more violent, he was good in the part. So don't blame the actors.
Look, let me put this right now, okay? Y'all bringing out my gangster. You're testing my gangster. Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman. Christian Bale was bad. I will say it. You won't fight me, catch me outside. Christian Bale was not a... No, Batman, you're like this. Because it is exhausting just to say. He wasn't good. His Bruce Wayne was way too distant. At the time, he was better than Michael Keaton, than George Clooney, than Val Kilmer. But
Not better than Bruce's.
not better Bruces. They were great Bruces.
Yeah.
But
Except Michael Keaton.
for Batman, he was a great Batman.
Yes.
Ben Affleck came, he was great in his role as Batman. Was the movies good? No. Why'd you say that name? Martha! Again, that has nothing to do with acting. That is the story and how it's written, how it was directed, all that. So stop giving actors bad names. So, we're going to move on.
Oh, so Robert Pattinson. We hope he's good. We have no problem with him in the role
At all.
Like, we'll find out how it happens. For me in particular, the way the DC movies have been over the last few years, I'm currently not planning on seeing it. It all depends on how the trailer looks.
Can't go anywhere but up for us.
Yeah, at some point I need to get around to Shazam. That one looked entertaining enough, but I still haven't gotten to see it. Joker's the only one that kind of interests me now because it's such a weird take, and doing Joker without Batman is kind of weird, but it looked interesting. But most of DC, rest of it, I haven't had a desire. Last one I saw was Wonder Woman.
I like Wonder Woman.
It was good. It was fine. But it gets more praise than it was because it was the first big female superhero movie, and it didn't suck.
Right.
Like, it's not as great as people want to say it is. I wish it were better, but it's not bad. It's really good. It's really close in the same lines of, like, the first Captain America movie. It's a good movie. It's not one of the better ones. They got a lot better with him over the years. So maybe the new Wonder Woman will be better.
Hoping for it.
Yeah. 1984.
What are our thoughts on Jon Moxley and AEW?
That's his.
This is me and Buddha. So Buddha, we're going to do it. Jon Moxley, for those of you who don't know, was known as Dean Ambrose in the WWE, which is World Wrestling Entertainment. Yes, we watch wrestling too. Well, me and Buddha. Roth doesn't. He recently asked for his release. Changed his...
For it.
Huh?
He let his contract run out.
Oh, that's right. He let his contract run out and then just moved on. Changed his Twitter handle from Dean Ambrose WWE to Jon Moxley.
And dropped a trailer that day and blew up the wrestling side of the internet.
Yeah, because nobody knew where he was going, what he was doing. I had a theory because Dean Ambrose was a lunatic fringe that he was just going to stay in WWE but come back as Jon Moxley. Kind of run a multiple personality Mick Foley thing. That was wild card. But apparently he showed up in AEW. I haven't watched wrestling for the past few weeks. Been busy doing this. I got 4 kids, a wife, a home I got to take care of, so something had to give, so I've just not been keeping up with wrestling. But Buddha has. So Buddha, bring me up to date on Jon Moxley and AEW.
Moxley is what they pretended Dean Ambrose was in WWE. You know, unhinged, like you're not sure what he's going to do. Like what I've seen of when he was in the Indies and everything, the dude can cut a promo, but they never let him do his thing because his thing is a little too hard for them. AEW as a whole, as I was saying, like I said at some point, I have not really been invested in WWE for like 2 years. I don't know, but like 4 people that were on that show, I enjoyed every minute that I was able to see of that show.
And maybe that's part of it, you know. I mean, WWE, and this has been my big problem with it the last few years, is they keep rehashing the same stars.
It's McMahon's show.
Yeah,
He likes you.
They bring up their talent from NXT, and instead of utilizing them, they just have them sit in the background because it seems like they're too afraid to let somebody go off on their contract, or they might sign with AEW.
AEW has the potential too.
Has a lot of potential.
And they're invested in that potential, not just staying on top.
Yeah.
All right. My personal thoughts, it's about time somebody came up and was challenged WWE. Maybe in the future we'll get into that, but like Roth's not big into wrestling, so maybe we'll do a tag out, have Buddha, and we'll do some wrestling reviews. Thank you, Buddha, for your input. All right, our next question.
Do you think Vegeta will have his moment of shine, a higher transformation than Goku? No.
At this point, Goku's WWE,
Yeah.
and
He's the show. They're going to keep pimping out the show. That said, they did at least finally, during the end of Super, they gave Vegeta a different form, which that's the first that we've gotten from him. The last time he had anything slightly different was when he was Majin Vegeta. So having him do a slightly different form, that it wasn't stronger than Goku's, but it was at least different, and it was more powerful than their base form. I don't know if he's going to get that back. That's a weird thing, because they never say anything about him not getting it back, like they did with Ultra Instinct, but they didn't have him. He's not gone into that again. But I know we've only had the movie, but
from what I understand, his new form is basically Super Saiyan Blue perfected, and
I think it's supposed to actually. It's not on par with Ultra Instinct, but I think it's supposed to be pretty close to.
It's on par with Kaioken.
Yeah, Goku's Kaioken Super Saiyan Blue.
Right. I don't think Vegeta will have his moment. Again, I like Vegeta. Always like Vegeta. He's not the main character. We're not going to get a moment where he's the hero, where they're relying on him. So
he'll always be. He'll get his moments, but it'll always be beneath the big moment.
Exactly.
Like, he got a lot of good stuff to do against Topo, who was the second strongest on the other team in the big tournament of power. He had a little short go around with Jiren, but that was always going to be Goku's fight, and so.
There's the other point.
What?
Toriyama really don't like him.
Yeah, that too.
Like, while he may not be 100% in control of the series anymore, he is a major influence.
The Toriyama never really planned on Vegeta staying around. The reason he kept Vegeta around is Vegeta became very popular. So he kept him around for that reason. Again, it's not something, he won't go away, but he's never going to get the time to shine as big because, yeah, Toriyama really. Yeah. Next question, I added slightly to it to give it 2 points, but why does, and I added when did, Magneto first have the helmet that defended against Charles Xavier's telepathy? Now, the reason I did a when added onto it is because it's kind of important in why he has it now, basically. Because in the comics, for 40 years, never did. It was a normal helmet. It was a look. He didn't need it to defend against Xavier. There were 2 things that they did. His mental acumen was supposed to be good enough that Xavier couldn't really control him. And like in some of the early ones, he could use his powers to put himself on the astral plane like Xavier back way before they really cared about science.
As far as you can go with superpowers.
Yeah. And even some of the later stuff, they still let him fudge that. Because, you know, when they had Avengers versus X-Men, when he was on the X-Men, but he was having to go on trial, basically they had his helmet in that. He was able to do stuff in his helmet to where he was able to mind control swaying the vote in his favor. Magneto, not Xavier.
I always thought that I don't know where I read it, that he had latent telepathy. like very low level. but it
I
was-
think it's dealing with how they had his powers originally. That's sort of what they did it with because of. So originally he didn't need it. It wasn't a thing they did for him.
he's just badass enough without it.
The character who they always made the big deal in the comics, who had the helmet that would protect him from Xavier, was always Juggernaut. And it was because it was mystical and they were brothers, so he was really, Xavier knew exactly what he needed to hit to basically shut down Marco if he could get in his head. But he couldn't because of the helmet. So in most of the time you see the X-Men fighting Juggernaut, they're trying to get his helmet off because that's where he's weak. So Magneto first got the helmet to stop being telepathy in the original X-Men movie.
Indeed.
And they didn't really explain how it happened. Now there was some inferring later on because he helped him build Cerebro. That was one of the theories people did. And I think they've done that like in the books I'll get to in just a minute. Now that kind of went out the window when they finally put out X-Men First Class, where he basically takes the helmet from Sebastian Shaw that protects. So I guess in later on when he has a different designed helmet, it's because he can go back and see, because he's master of metal, how it was built and make a new one from it. But Sebastian Shaw was able to probably build it because he had a telepath on his side, so it was probably... They never explain how it works. Now, there have been some that there's like little devices inside of the helmet kind of thing, but the first comic to give Magneto that ability was Ultimate X-Men, which came out not long after the first movie. The Ultimate Universe was a reboot series to, some of it was to look a little more like the movies, but it was basically to give people a fresh in to the characters that wasn't bogged down in 40 years of continuity. And like the Magneto not being weak per se to Xavier, it was accepted in the normal universe, but now you have this new Magneto and you just had the movie come out, you need to have him have a specific reason. And in the normal books, he was never completely free of being hurt by telepathy. It was, I think for the longest time it was a combination of he had a little bit so it wasn't easy to mess with his head, and he was best friends for years with Xavier, and so it was sort of a, my best friend won't do anything like that. And he finally made Xavier snap in the 90s, and Xavier turned him into a vegetable for a while.
And then Onslaught was born.
Yeah, later on. They didn't, Onslaught wasn't right away.
No, not right.
But yeah, it is.
That was
led
what
into-
caused Onslaught.
Yeah. But that was, I was looking it up to make, I knew it first started for Magneto in
The
movies, but I wanted to double check everything, and apparently 3 or 4 years ago, the normal continuity now has it too, where his helmet is designed to stop telepathy, because there's a big thing of slowly some things they like, or they take ideas they think are good from the movies and integrate them into the comics, and it's a way.
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. Well, the ultimate version of Nick Fury was always designed
Off of Samuel L. Jackson.
off of Samuel L. Jackson. But then when the Ultimate series ended, now we have
Nick Fury.
We have Nick Fury in all of our movies, Samuel L. Jackson, and we're back to having old white guy Nick Fury. So they had the storyline where, oh look, Nick Fury Jr., a black guy. Nick Fury had, and he looks black. He doesn't look
He does
mixed,
not look mixed. He looks black.
but it basically looks like Samuel L. Jackson.
And they introduced Coulson in that issue too.
Ah.
So, yeah.
Because, and it's basically, they want there to, even though comics, so much in comics even now has been way different, they try to put some beats the same that are from the movies into them, so people, they're trying to get random people off the street coming in, saw the movie, to be able to recognize,
Oh, hey,
I know this character, I know that character.
I have something already invested in them, so let me pick this book up.
Yeah.
It's smart business and all. It makes it a pain for nerds like us, because then that's when we run afoul of confusing storylines that were in the movie, but might have happened in the comics too, some different variation, or hey, you just remember imagery. Anyway, good answer on that. Our next question is
Tufa. We'll do the first part first.
why is the Justice League not more popular? I'm guessing this question is more about the movies. Maybe the comics too. I guess we can answer both.
We'll answer both.
You want movies or comics?
I think I'll do, since we did the discussion, I do movies and you do comics.
Wait.
So movies. JLA sucks.
That's pretty much it.
I'll give you a little bit more. DC and Warner Brothers rushed it. That's why it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
They look over, they just finished their Batman trilogy, they had just made a Superman movie that I think it's a good movie, but it's a bad Superman movie. But it was lackluster in monetary sales, that they're looking over. Avengers was just about to come out, or just come out, but they had obviously been announced, and so they were building toward it. They look over and see, Marvel just made all this money with their team. We're going to make our team movie. The thing was, DC didn't understand was Marvel built toward that. They put out Iron Man, they put out Incredible Hulk, they put out Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America. They did where they were slowly, we're in a shared universe, and all the biggest characters that were in that shared movie, we had movies of. Mm-hmm. And so we were invested in those characters. They basically put out Batman vs. Superman, tried to introduce everybody really quickly in teasers and that, and then have them all in their movie teamed up and think we'll care about them when we haven't had any time with most of these characters.
Preach on it, Roth.
And Batman vs. Superman would be a better movie. I'm not going to call it good. I'm not going to call it good. I've seen the extended cut. The extended cut is better. Still won't call it good. It would be a better movie if it was 10th down the line. Like, seeing Batman and Superman butt heads is cool, but we're not invested in this version of Batman. This version of Superman, we haven't seen be Superman. His Man of Steel was an origin, and they changed up. He murdered in it, so that's why I don't feel it's actually Superman. But that movie ended with him becoming the reporter. So he was just finally going to get to the status quo of Superman. We never got to see that. This version of Batman is very different from the other ones. If we had seen all that build-up, we'd care. That's why, and Marvel did that in Civil War. We care about Cap. We care about Iron Man. They did better, way better than the comics, of having us be able to see both viewpoints and understand them both and be like, I can see why you'd be with either one. We built to it. DC wanted the money. They wanted it fast. They thought, Batman and Superman sell, we're going to throw them in a movie and it's going to make us money. Batman vs. Superman made them a fair bit of money. It didn't make anywhere near
what it could have.
Avengers and what it could have. And when they did the team-up movie, it made a couple $100 million less than that. And that's because everyone saw that first one, saw they were rushing everything, was like, I don't care.
Exactly. And that's why the movie is not more popular than the Avengers. Comic-wise, my opinion, you can relate more to Marvel's characters. They are humans. While some of them may be gods and Hulks and they have all these vast superpowers, you've seen them beaten. You've seen each one's unique attribute. The JLA is just a rehash of Superman. If you look at everybody's superpowers, they all only have like one unique thing, then everything else is the same. Super strength, enhanced speed, non-vulnerability,
intelligence,
and they can fly. Literally, who did I just describe? Exactly. That's Superman, except you had heat vision and cold breath. That's Wonder Woman, except you had a lasso, and she's an Amazon. That's Green Lantern, except you add a ring and light constructs. That's Martian Manhunter, except you add shape-shifting and intangibility. Flash, you take away the super strength and add more speed. I mean, they're all the same. And so, while yes, they do have unique attributes, I can't relate to Flash at all. Because he runs really fast and I don't. Run. At all.
When's the last time you ran?
It was earlier this summer. I ran after Zeke.
Oh.
Chase Zeke. Because my kids don't expect me to run, so when I start off running, it scares the living ghost out of them. So it's hilarious.
I thought you were about to say a year after that. Like, oh, it was earlier in the summer of 1994.
Smart ass.
So that is why... It's not just why JLA is more popular, it's why Marvel has been readily more popular, not since, it's probably late 60s, 70s, I don't remember when they exactly took over, but Marvel took off during the 60s, and then during the 70s is probably when they really started to change a lot, and then there was a lot of more competition. DC did... Where like a couple of years ago there was like a couple month period where I think they took over the market share briefly. I don't think that had anything to really do with DC being better at that point. It was Marvel had some really bad writers.
Really bad.
Nazi Captain America. So it's because of like, and Marvel has since taken over, having the majority of the market shares again. Like every once in a while, DC, like the average for the last like 20 years, mostly, when you have the top 10 books of comics that sell, you probably have 5 or 6 are Marvel, 3 are DC, and 1 is somebody else. One of the smaller companies usually gets, like Walking Dead or something along those lines, get in. But those are how the top comic sales go a lot of the time. And so Marvel has just been on top, and plenty of interviews with Stan Lee. He made him teenager with teenage problems, Spider-Man, and it was just made the characters relatable. Yes, they have all these superpowers, but they go home at the end of the day, and you know, Spider-Man was always trying to find enough money to scrounge around to keep making his web fluid. Mm-hmm. And it just, that made them relatable. And JLA has never gotten to a point, I mean, even Batman, who is human, incredibly smart human, is a billionaire. Nobody can relate to that.
I wish I could, y'all. I wish I could.
Help us out.
But yeah, so that's why Justice League isn't as popular as Avengers. Second part of that is who would win in a fight?
Avengers or JLA? First off, that's really tough because what versions of the team are we doing? Because we're nerds, we can't just go, oh, this is what people... So if we go with, let's just go
movies.
Easy, simple, movie version. So the movie version of the JLA, movie version of the Avengers. We're going to go with the original Avengers. We're not going to go into having everybody. Mm-hmm. Captain Marvel throws the math way off.
She wins.
But until that, it's Justice League.
I disagree. and I'm going to explain why. Power set alone, it's JLA. No question. Justice League stomps. Based on powers, the Avengers stomps a mud hole in them. The Avengers, as you can see from the very first movie, everyone on that team, aside from Banner and Tony, have training. And they utilize it and they utilize it so well that they can point Iron Man and Hulk where to go and what to do to make them most efficient. I don't think Batfleck can take out Black Widow and Hawkeye. I think they would dog walk him.
He doesn't have to.
I
He
don't-
sends the others at him.
No, he doesn't, because again, they don't have that unit cohesion.
And they're also, like, the Superman and Wonder Woman they've shown, you have to go with, if you're going with that idea, you have to go with the maximum powers they've shown. With the maximum powers they've shown, Superman isn't stronger than the Hulk. Wonder Woman's about Thor.
No, she's not even Thor.
What they've shown in movie-wise, they're not as strong.
They're not. And not only that, you get Thor and Hulk, look how well they work together.
I haven't seen the JLA movie
Oh, shut your mouth then.
because it looked like garbage.
So look,
It was garbage, but I dealt with
the
it.
toughest person they will have a problem with is obviously Superman and Flash.
Yeah.
But this version of Flash isn't a fighter. He literally tells you, he just runs in, pushes some people, and then runs away. Hawkeye will take care of that, especially very, very quickly.
And depending on when you do it, he has some experience with Quicksilver now.
Yeah.
Not the
well,
same
no, we're going
speed
original
level.
team, so we're going. I'm saying
it's
it's
the
probably
first movies.
Yeah, first movies. So he doesn't, but at the same time, he is smart enough to recognize it. He recognized it was Quicksilver as soon as he saw it. He said, "We have a unseen player." He didn't say speedster. He said unseen or something like that. And so, but he made adjustments to it. Because remember, the second time he fought Quicksilver, he got the better of him. But again, the best thing about that though is that Flash isn't as comfortable with his powers as, say, Grant Gustin's Flash.
No, yeah, he's just starting.
Right, so I don't think him going against a trained military mind, it'll be like when Grant Gustin took on Green Arrow in the first season of Flash.
He got jacked.
Right? He thought he had him, and then he got shot in the back with
He's
arrows.
like, I got superpowers. You're just a regular guy.
Now, if we want to do a quick, not even getting all the teams, but just let's just say comic versions. And let's just say they have the teams. Like, with members, like, again,
Same teams, but comic versions?
no, I'm talking about just having a wider range of teams, but a lot of the big members in it.
Oh, Avengers.
I still think, yeah.
Oh,
Avengers. Like, Avengers.
They have a God Squad. That's what it's called. It's the God Squad. And Blue
Avengers-
Sentry alone, not Blue Sentry, Blue Marvel alone.
Which one?
Oh, well, his name's not Blue Marvel. I can't remember his name for the life of me. I'm gonna lose my black card. It is Blue Marvel. Woo, keeping it. Imagine if Captain Marvel
When did he come out?
and Superman did a fusion dance. Blue Marvel. He is uber powerful. Then you have 16 versions of Superman who are on the Avengers now.
There was Sentry.
There was Sentry, there's Hyperion.
Well, he wasn't in the.
Yes, he
Any
was.
of
He
them
was.
lift
Jeez.
half of infinity. Can any of
But
them?
I mean, it's
Yes.
another way. Both similar to what we're discussing for the movies is the Avengers in the comics have worked as a unit. The JLA does at periods, but it never seems, especially because Batman is the smartest one, but especially multiple times over the years, nobody trusts Batman because Batman has done so much stuff that's hurt the league or has all the contingencies because he doesn't trust anybody, that they don't have that trust like everyone else has. And especially if you get into the comics, there's way more kryptonite everywhere that Superman's really easy to take down. And magic.
Like, just
And
sitting here
magic.
thinking about it,
Doctor Strange beats
DC
Superman.
is intro to comic books and superhero. DC is when you're a kid and you want to tie a pillowcase around your neck
And you want to go wee?
and you go wee. You want to that's DC. That's you're Superman. You imagine yourself being big, strong, having all these powers, and nobody can touch you. Marvel's when you get older and you realize the world's going to bitch slap you. It's the first chance it gets.
Don't matter how.
Doesn't matter what character you are, you're not untouchable. Doesn't matter how much you bring to the table, you're expendable. Doesn't matter how much you've done for the world, it will turn you around, and make you call him Khal Drogo.
On the flip, DC tried to start their movies that way, and that's not DC's characters. That's why only Batman is the dark DC character. But they've tried to tone all of their movies that way, and that's why they've been failing. They've finally learned and gotten better. And yeah, I haven't seen the newer ones as much, but yes, I've heard they're better because they finally realized not everything has to be toned like Batman. But Man of Steel was Batman, but with Superman.
All right, so with that statement, we'll lead into our next question, because I'll start it off, which is, what are our favorite comic book movies?